Okay, let's begin.
Good morning, Patriot listeners. We thank you for tuning in to Political Pitchforks, a new show on AM 1280 The Patriot, now airing every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Political Pitchforks will bring you candid talk about state and national issues that impact our freedoms and what our elected leaders are and are not doing to protect and defend our liberties. I am longtime conservative Susan Sjogren Smith. My goal is to bring people together to talk about these important issues and also what the progressive left and disengaged masses are doing to our country. So I'm here with Jeremy Munson, a highly respected political strategist, former Minnesota legislator. Jeremy brings really critical institutional knowledge to our discussions, and I really thank him for his involvement. And also today we have Tyler Kistner, one of the favorites of CD2, and he is running for Congress in CD2. He is here to talk about his campaign and weigh in on some of these issues that we're going to be bringing forward. So why don't we start with you, Tyler? Tell us what's going on.
We shall. No, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Hope everyone's having a beautiful, wonderful, sunny Saturday on this Minnesota summer that we only get the few 3 months worth. But no, it's great to be on here. Yeah, we I say we because it's always a team effort when you run a campaign. It's you need the grassroots more than anything to really establish that true connection with the district, a true understanding, and a true campaign effort to get you over the top to win. But yeah, I ran in 2020, 2022. 2020 we came within 2%. 22 kind of suffered from the abortion turnout, lost by 5. But this time around, in the years between 22 and coming up to 26, I was actually activated out of the Marine Reserves and deployed to Iraq for what was supposed to be 6 months. Turned into a year after the October 7th attacks on Israel and the blowback we dealt with in Iraq and Syria. Had to extend twice. Definitely a strain on the family from that one. Got back in May of 24. Took a lot of time, kind of a little bit away from politics, but more of a focus on the family. I engaged with the Trump campaign. We were engaging on more of a political appointee type role and position. So after he won, was looking at that, engaging with them. My wife and I finally ultimately decided that in the best interest of the family, staying close to all of our family here in Minnesota, I just took a senior advisor role within. And I promise I'm going to have to take a deep breath to get this one out, and I'm not making this one up. I'm the special advisor to or senior advisor to special operations for the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations Low Intensity Conflict, also known as SOLIC. And I promise we did not make that acronym up. It was already there before. And no, Doge has not gotten that one yet. But no, we run all the programs and policies for special operations and any conflict that doesn't go to full-out war. And while I was doing that in D.C., so I fly out there 2, maybe 3 weeks out of a month, still live here in Minnesota where our family is. That's when February kind of threw a wrench in all of our plans, and Tina Smith decided she was not going to run, and Angie Craig started looking at running for U.S. Senate. And so during that time, a lot of the grassroots support we established in 2020 and 2022 started reaching out to us. A lot of people across the district, those in Congress, just highly encouraging me to consider and look at jumping into this seat if it in fact opens as an open seat. And so my wife and I, having known what to go through, 2020 was a historic year in and of itself for the 2nd District. $31 million total spent, highest total congressional race in terms of spending ever in the state history. So you gain a greater appreciation for campaigns. And so my wife and I, we prayed about it. A lot of deliberation, and then once Angie Craig made the ultimate decision, I just felt God kind of opening the door to bring us in there. And just the humbleness of having the grassroots encouraging and asking me to do it. I couldn't figure out a greater way to continue to serve and represent the people of this district. So we made the ultimate decision to jump in this race in May 15th of this year, and been 6 weeks, and so far going great. Also, on June 30th, things I like to talk about more, my family. June 30th, Marie and I were blessed with our third child. So Ethan William Kistner was born. He's now 12 days old. And so that brings 3 kids. Now I'm having to learn from, going to man coverage to zone. So it's creating a joy in the Kistner household over there in Prior Lake.
That's awesome. Well,
congratulations, Tyler. That's awesome. I love seeing pictures of your family online. You have a wonderful family, and you have a great backstory that voters really connect to. And I supported you in both your previous campaigns, and I'm excited to hear that you're running again. You're a fantastic candidate, full of energy. Anybody that meets you always talks about how much energy you have. And excitement about bringing a new face to Washington, D.C. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the previous elections, because in both previous elections, there was a third-party candidate that was running from the Legal Marijuana Now party.
Yes.
I think in 2020, Adam Weeks, who I had talked with a little bit, he passed away before the election. Mm-hmm. And in 2022, Paula Overby was running as the Legal Marijuana Now party candidate, and she also passed away in that race. Just a freak coincidence. But is there? Yeah, I mean, is there? Do you think there's going to be is there rumbling about a third party candidate in this election?
I'm going to start off for the families of Weeks and Overby. That was very unfortunate. Anyone who steps up to run for office should be applauded for the amount of sacrifice and work that goes into that. The sacrifice on the family, everything like that. And thank you for the appreciation of my family. I cannot stress enough my gratitude and love for my wife. As a military spouse, as a wife, as a mother, the amount of things she does for our family. And I like to say she's the property manager. She definitely keeps things going, keeps me going. So no, truly a blessing. But yeah, when you look at the third party, I know looking at 2024, the Democrats actually funded and did this whole strategy to get this third party candidate on the ballot. I haven't heard anything in terms of a third-party candidate in the 2nd District in 2026. I know there's rumblings of these pro-Palestine independent parties trying to stand up. I know there's all those Democratic fringe groups trying to get some sort of conservative group third-party candidate. But no, I have not heard anything at this time.
I want to say, as you remember, I believe that you, in fact, did win in 2020. There were tons of problems in Dakota County. Including more than 100,000 more votes reported on election night than were in the voter histories after the certification, which we did try to stop. And I think it should have been stopped because there was clear proof. But the court threw everything out. That's just what they did in 2020. It all got tossed, and everybody who filed cases was a terrible person. I don't think so. I think we have some serious election integrity issues. The good news about that is because of what happened to you, there's an incredible group of volunteers in CD2 that are relentless and that are monitoring and that show up. And I think that is critical because we weren't engaged as a people monitoring our election officials. And we're doing a much better job now. And so is Donald Trump.
So when you look at 2020, that was kind of the first time we highlighted just the true issues of integrity in our election system. When you had the drop boxes, you had a lot of this stuff going on. You have a candidate who's up by 8%, almost 8,000 votes, and then suddenly in a matter of an hour, down by 2% and 5,000.
Right.
But also too, just recently, wasn't there? There was a case that the Department of Justice was actually going after with election fraud, and the 2 individuals actually lived in the 2nd District.
Yeah. So we're going to find out a lot. And, Donald Trump, I think, is on it. And we have to go to a break here in just a second. And we don't need to spend a lot of time on 2020 because I think we all collectively agree the election system has to be shored up.
But the benefit is when you look at 2024, Trump definitely started a great initiative of ensuring integrity and doing something that Republicans hadn't done prior to, and that's vote early, get out there, get the early votes. Don't try to put all your eggs in that one basket of election day. and let's make sure we can do everything we can to ensure that we have so many votes they can't cheat.
Okay, let's begin.
Welcome back, Patriot listeners. You are listening to Political Pitchforks on AM 1280 The Patriot. I am Susan Sjogren-Smith here with Jeremy Munson and our guest, Tyler Kistner, who is running for the U.S. House in CD2 again. And many, many, many people are extremely thankful that you are running again. You've been asked to run for party chair. You've been asked to run for committee. People love you. There's no question about that. You're a very, very popular guy. And I think we're glad to have you here talking about it and what your plans are, and also to talk about the issues in CD2. And it sounds like you're pretty confident that this time around we won't have all the in-battling. We're going to let the endorsement process play out. Is that kind of what you're hearing?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at 2024, and I wasn't there for most of it, so I can only speak with what I heard, not really what I seen and was on the ground with. But yeah, you saw divisiveness come from candidates who wouldn't accept what the endorsement was and decided that for the better they were going to take it to a primary because they didn't win the endorsement. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't a no endorse. There was an endorsed candidate, and then someone decided, nope, I don't agree with that. I'm still going to run.
And it was a solid endorsement.
Yes.
It wasn't like a 51.
It was about 75% or something like that. Was it? Incredible. I couldn't even get it 75% when I was in a challenging endorsement. I did get 100% when I had no competitor, though, so I can take claim to that one. But no, it was just when you take what the will of the people are, the grassroots, the ones who are there day in and day out. I mean, the most humbling thing that I always got from being in a campaign was just, when you're in the military, people are there to do the mission because, one, they're ordered to, they're getting paid to, and, that's their job. A campaign's different because you get these grassroots supporters. Yeah. You're not paying them. They're volunteering their time. They're taking their time away from their families, their loved ones, their jobs, and they're giving their whole heart and effort. And I mean, to me, it's just incredible to see how far people are willing to just work hard for the cause and the issues and the hope that you bring to them. And I think that's when you take those people and say, I don't care what you think, then you get a divisiveness in CD2 that you had in 2024. And I mean, it represented itself in the final numbers where, I mean, Angie Craig outperformed the top of the ticket better than any candidate across the entire country. And that was solely due to just the disenfranchisement it created in the grassroots. If you don't have the grassroots, you don't have anything. I mean, you can have millions of dollars, but they're the ones who are going to get out there, get the vote. They're the ones who are going to do the work to help get you across the line because they believe in you. They believe in the message you bring, your values, your morals. And so, yeah, when I look at this cycle, I mean, it's humbling to see that tremendous amount of support. I mean, it's something that you don't take for granted. You have to continue to earn and fight for. You say everyone loves me. I'd say more so they just want someone who's genuine, someone who can look at them and not be a politician, not just give them the framed sentences or what they want to hear, but actually talk to them on a personal level, get to know them, get to know their families. Yep. When you know people like that, you can truly understand the root of the issues and why they are so passionate about some of these things. And honestly, that's what I continue to do is just get to know these delegates, whether they support me or they don't, and get to understand why they're out there, why they're doing what they're doing. And then when you take that as encouragement and you want to do the same and fight for those issues even harder. And so that's why you can't take that for granted. But yeah, when you look at the issues across the 2nd District, I mean, look what Tim Walz has done over the last 4 years. I mean, let me rephrase that. Last 8 years, he has created a state that is just ridden with crime. The amount of fraud, waste, and abuse. It's a shame when you have to say Minnesota has the greatest fraud case in COVID out of the entire country with the Feeding Our Future, and we're still dealing with it. Still going through the courts. You have our attorney general who's implicated in it, but yet he's off to the side, not getting touched, able to just kind of fly under the radar through a lot of the media that just covers for him in this state. Whereas Tim Walz is not able to fly under the radar anymore. He just ran for a national level office. He has been highlighted, and a lot of people, even the polling from the Star Tribune about 2-3 weeks ago, highlighted just how disenfranchised Minnesotans are with Tim Walz and the Minnesota government and how it's being run, because you have all this crime, this fraud, this waste and abuse just within our government and within all the taxpayer dollars that our government is using. We just had $430 million this last week that Tim Walz couldn't cover himself. He had to have the state taxpayers do it.
Well, speaking of $430,000,
It's not $1,000,000.
no,
Or no, it was 1,000. It was 1,000.
no. But there's this 430 number is important because we now know that there's a bill from Walz is testifying at Congress because from a federal issue, Walz has implemented these policies that have serious repercussions, not just in Minnesota, but affect other states because we're a sanctuary state.
Yeah.
You could kidnap a child from another state, and we're a sanctuary state for people who would bring a transgender child to Minnesota, which causes a lot of it's terrible, kidnapping, right?
It's an issue that you look at. It's taking away the core nucleus of the family and saying, no, the government's a better care of your family than you are. You're taking parents and saying, your opinion, your thoughts, your beliefs, your morals don't matter. The government matters. And I mean, that's what most people across the district are frustrated at. I mean, not even across the district, across the state, across the country, where you're saying family is no longer of value to our core society. But you have all these families trying to do everything they can, like me and my wife. I continue to sacrifice and do what I can to make sure my family can prosper, to make sure my kids have a better future than the one I lived and the one that the government's, prior to Trump stepping in and doing a lot of these great initiatives, one that the government was almost demising at the time. So what can we do to help protect our children, help educate them the right way, and then also ensure that they have fairness in their schools? So, DOGE was only the tip of highlighting what fraud we had at the federal government, and then you're starting to see that come about in Minnesota. We were one of the first to start highlighting, as a Republican Party, highlighting the fraud just in the state government. So that's one of the big issues that people are seeing is because it's their tax dollars. They want it. People are fine with paying taxes to a degree, as long as it's going to certain things that are of benefit. Right. When it's going to fraud, waste, and abuse, what benefit is there in that? And then you look at the crime. The riots in 2020, the George Floyd riots, and then it only continued to expound throughout the entire state.
And country.
Yeah. People want safe streets. They want to be able to send their kids across the street and know that they're going to be safe, know that they're going to be not harmed when they go over there. And then you look at our school system. We have one of the worst school systems in the entire country for a state. That's
big swing in 30 years.
Oh, yeah. It despairing. So, school choice, allowing parents to choose where their kids can go and best be educated. That should never be an issue. That should be something that the government is willing to support and help provide to their constituents, because I want my kids to go to the best school to get the best education. And right now, Minnesota's not providing that. Luckily, the Big Beautiful Bill provides a little bit of an incentive. So if you do send your kids to a private school, now all that money that you're using for that tuition is going to be a 100% tax credit. So it's a start. It's not the ultimate solution. And then when you look at fairness in our schools, I have a daughter who's 8 years old. She plays soccer. She does gymnastics. She does dance. When you talk about men and women's sports, my alma mater was Champlin Park. Now it's almost an embarrassment to have to say, just on what happened with the softball state championship this year. I grew up a rebel, Champlin and Brooklyn Park, and then you see what's happening with fairness to our girls, to the women in sports, and you're completely stripping that away. And you're saying, hey, nope, a man can come in there, they can take your scholarships, they can take your opportunity to further yourself in something that you're gifted in, because a man has greater physical abilities than a woman. We need to get men out of women's sports. And funny how Democrats have completely stopped talking about that now as we're getting to the midterms.
Right. Yeah.
That's great. Tyler, I forgot to ask you at the top of the interview to describe to the listeners what areas are CD2. Do you have a good understanding of the counties or cities? Can you list them off so people understand if they live in CD2? Because some people don't really understand the congressional district boundaries.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I know it like the back of my hand. So, yep. So the second congressional district is the southern suburbs. So it pretty much takes the Minnesota and Mississippi River, and it's everything south. So it's all of Dakota County. You got your Inver Grove Heights, Eagan, Burnsville, down to Lakeville. You also have all of Scott County, which I reside. So Prior Lake, Savage, Shakopee, down to Jordan, New Prague, and let's not forget Elko New Market. It goes into Le Sueur County. So Le Center, Le Sueur, our wonderful state senator down there with, he's actually in Rice County, but Bill Liskey. So we do have a little corner of Rice County. We have Northfield and some of the outlying suburban areas out there. And then it goes over to Washington County with Cottage Grove, and then just the southern third portion of Woodbury.
Okay, great. It's a lot of South metro areas, and I know Le Sueur County, where I live next to, is now part of CD2. So
Yep.
Great. Thanks for covering that. And you mentioned some of the issues that CD2 you're hearing out on the campaign trail. And, one of the things that's tough for congressional candidates is to separate state issues from federal issues, especially with education now that the Department of Education is kind of being gutted to push all of those policies down at the state level where I think they should be.
Yeah.
But it leaves little ability for the federal government to mandate how we teach our kids.
Which is where it should be.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, Governor Walz is pushing a lot of limits on these lines between federal and state issues, and I think we're going to continue to see that. As we head into this break, I just want to let you know we're going to be dealing with some more national issues coming up after the break, so thanks for coming back.
Okay, let's begin.
I want to welcome you back again, listeners, to the Political Pitchforks on AM 1280 The Patriot. This is Susan Smith. I'm here with Jeremy Munson and Tyler Kistner, candidate for Congress in CD2. And we're going to just jump right into a pretty big topic of conversation for conservatives, the Epstein list that may or may not have existed or does still exist or whatever. So what have you heard? What do you think?
So, I mean, full disclosure with this one, I for the past week that this has now been coming out, and this has been hitting the news, I've been dealing with all the newborn baby dilemmas of trying to get what news I can while getting about 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night. So I feel like I know enough of what's going on to just say, from what I'm hearing on this one, it sounds like it almost is like there's a lot of information that's just not there right now. Whether it just never got up to Pam Bondi, or we don't even know what type of, if you want to call it a cover up or a deleting of files prior to the administration taking control of the executive branch in January. I mean, once Trump won, there was a lot of things going on in D.C. of trying to hide this, trying to shift that, trying to protect this group, because they understood what was coming with cutting down the federal government workforce, cutting down on the fraud, waste, and abuse, and then a lot of the things that they did the past 4 years to go after Trump. I mean, surprised they didn't cover up this dossier with was it Brennan? I mean, he's starting to get implemented in a lot, but it sounds like there's a lot of information that they don't have, and they're just going off of what's presented to them. And that's kind of the frustrating part about it right now.
Yeah. How about you, Jeremy?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think that Trump won the election because he united a lot of groups and a lot of people that were in the middle, independents, sitting on the couch, maybe frustrated about the state of our healthcare, and we're excited about these Democrats like Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard getting involved in the Trump campaign. And I think he brought a lot of people together. And one of the things is releasing the Epstein list. I mean, there's a lot of people who just want this information out in public. People that are really against child trafficking, sex trafficking, got involved with the campaign because they wanted to see this list it released. And when Pam Bondi built it up and said, hey, the list is on my desk, and had these social media influencers come to Washington, D.C. and kind of gave them binders for a photo op. Hey, the list is coming out. And then now to hear, oh, there isn't a list. It frustrates a lot of people. And we understand that if your name is on the list, doesn't mean that you did bad things. It means that maybe you went to visit Epstein or whatever, and there's going to be a lot of people who will have some explaining to do. But overall, most voters want disclosure from the government. They want transparency, and this is maybe part of it. So there was some blowback originally when they said there wasn't a list, and things on social media show that maybe there's some momentum in releasing the list. And I think that campaigning around CD2, if people say we want the Epstein list, we want the data released, I really think it should be.
Yeah, this has been, I think, an interesting thing. And I think we see quotes like the client list, it's like a black book. And of course, if you're a person on the list, like the flight logs, right? At a minimum, we know there's flight logs, right? And those people are all on a pseudo list of being on a plane that went to Epstein Island. That doesn't mean they did anything wrong because they mix it all up, right? They had events, they had things going on there, parties, things where nothing happened, things that did happen. And I do think if you happen to be a person on that list, that, it could be incredibly harmful to your family, your kids, if it's not limited. So I'm guessing there's some attorney talk going on here about let's be careful about when we talk about something as a client list, which may be very different than just a list, right? And the use of the words. So it's interesting how they're talking about it. Interesting to me also is Alan Dershowitz, who immediately came out and said, I know the list. I have the list, but I'm ordered to not talk about the list by a judge. And so, there's just a lot of a lot of posturing. As with Trump, I think what we always see is they throw all this stuff at him. They get mad at him. They blame the media, we pile on. And somehow he always managed in the end to explain, well, this is why it happened. This is what happened, whatever. So I don't think we know what actually is going on, who destroyed it, if it ever, whatever. But it's not going away, this issue.
Well, I mean, because he's already shown through his past actions, like if there is information out there that he can declassify or just push out to the public, he will. He did it with a lot of the UFO information. He did it with the JFK files. I mean, he continues to show he wants to have, he wants to give the public as much as he can give. So I don't think it's him trying to hide anything per se, because he's already shown through his past actions, like if they have the information, they can get it out there. They're going to get it out there. I also know he's dealing with a lot in terms of trade negotiations, trying to get peace deals in the Middle East, and a lot of issues. And I mean, he's taking it day at a time and kind of going with what alligator's closer to the boat. So, I mean, a little bit of credit to him. I know there's some frustration, but at the same time, like he is also running a full country that is doing a lot of great things.
And also this investigation that's going on, which I know that they're saying there's not an investigation what happened. They're not just talking about the list. That just from my knowledge about the child trafficking and these things, the amount of work it is to actually do the investigation of the videos and the photos, and to figure out who these kids are, to put them in the database, or the adults, even potentially the people that were involved in the trafficking, and the thousands and thousands of hours that I think probably didn't happen under the Biden administration. And you don't want to make mistakes. And there's these ongoing investigations. So I'm not a fan of withholding information, but I also know that if you make a mistake, it destroys people's lives. Yeah. So I don't know.
And your heart goes out to these young girls that were affected by all this. I mean, what was it in June? The one who was the most public about it ended up committing suicide. And by the way, what do people say about that? She just survived a bus crash
and fought for her life, and then she commits suicide. Like there's people are, again, it's like, did Epstein commit suicide? This is the problem with this issue, right? Is that there's so much emotion and the failure, going back to, let's face it, Acosta in 2008 when he entered into the plea deal and sealed all the records under George W. Bush. I mean, that's a fact, right? And that created a lot of this, and the ongoing problem is the government behaved very badly in this issue. And that was George W. Bush that let that happen with Acosta, who I think resigned in maybe 2019.
Well, I mean, overall, there's 1,000 young girls who were trafficked, and we don't have a single conviction, and they have thousands of hours of video from all these secret cameras on Epstein Island. And this is what the people, the voters, I think they want disclosure of this information. So this is likely going to come up in this next election, whether or not this is going to be disclosed. I think a really hot issue for the 2026 election is going to be immigration. And this is something that hasn't been resolved in 40 years. It's a really sensitive subject with tens of millions of illegal immigrants in this country. And I mean, it's just not possible to deport everybody. So Trump last week started talking about, he didn't say the word amnesty, but saying that there would be legislation coming to protect illegal immigrants in the agriculture and hospitality industries, restaurants and hotel workers. He did not mention construction workers, but they're trying to figure out legislation to find a solution, a path forward for many of the illegal immigrants here. And this is going to be a hot issue for 2026. So Tyler, where are you at on solutions for fixing our immigration?
Yeah, and I mean, Trump is making some great strides in fixing immigration right now. I mean, you're seeing a lot of illegal immigrants being deported, those who've committed crimes in this country, and getting them out because obviously they are not doing any benefit to this country. But then when you look at the farming communities out in the 2nd District, and I mean across America, a lot of these farmers benefit from these migrant workforces that can do a lot of the work that a lot of Americans are either not wanting to do or just don't have the ability to do because it's not paying enough. So that's definitely an industry that you need to continue to support. How do you support it? Well, I mean, you look at the immigration system with our visas. I mean, right there is one step you can take to start fixing and addressing because we have the most complicated visa issues amongst any country. It's over 80 to 100 different types of visas you can get, and the length it takes to actually get these through. I think you can create legislation that will help assist with that to get migrants coming here on a short-term work visa basis to help a lot of the farming communities with the work that they have, while at the same time, once that work's done in the summer, then you can have them go back to their country and then have an ability to reapply. Because there's a way you can address this very simply. It just always becomes a major issue. Well, do you keep them here? Do you send them back? I think if you send them back, you have an opportunity to assess, hey, what did you do while you're here, instead of just keeping them here and allowing them, to just continue to thrive off of the American taxpayer with what they were doing the past, 40 years.
Right. So, Jeremy, how do you think this amnesty is going to go?
Well, it's going to be, it's certainly on social media amongst conservatives, and the MAGA crowd were really upset when they heard the words, amnesty come up. And so there's a lot of people that are just posting no amnesty. But the Main Street Caucus in Congress, which is comprised of a bunch of centrist Republicans, is really pushing for amnesty for the different sectors, especially in agriculture and the hospitality industry. And it's going to be, coming down to some kind of negotiation for legislation. And you don't need to have the conservatives on board with that, because Democrats are easy to pick up votes for to offer amnesty for illegal immigrants. And we'll see where it comes out. I think it's going to play out well. I think for the Republicans in the midterms to combat the Medicaid cuts and things like that, they can turn around and offer amnesty for illegal immigrants in order to soften that blow for the midterms.
We'll be back.
Okay, let's begin.
Welcome back to Political Pitchforks on AM 1280, The Patriot. This is Susan Smith. I'm here with Jeremy Munson and Tyler Kistner. And this hour's flying by. Jeremy, why don't you tee up the next question?
Yeah, well, we want to talk about some more federal issues. Obviously, in the news, it looks like the Trump administration is reissuing weapons to Ukraine to fight their war against Russia. This has been a hot issue. A lot of people supported Trump because they wanted to end wars. And I don't know if this war is winnable with Ukraine and Russia. So, Tyler, you've spent a lot of time in the military. This is your wheelhouse. I'd love to get your opinion on what we do with Ukraine, and do you support sending him weapons?
All right, 9 minutes to explain my opinion on this. Whew, boy, all right. No, so it when you look at this issue, this is a very complex one. Trump did some phenomenal things the other month when he went to NATO, got them to start increasing their share of the burden for funding of defense within NATO itself. That was just the first step in this grand strategy of how we tackle this problem in Ukraine. Understanding Europe has now stepped up their efforts to help fund and support Ukraine with weapons and the likes. There are certain countries that are doing a lot more than others. That's all I can say on that. But Trump's very strategic with this one because he wants to end this war. He wants this to be done and go away with. Ukraine's actually losing a lot of ground. They're struggling. And when you have Russia that is not wanting to come to the table because they see an opportunity to continue to gain ground and continue to, win this war, what can we do as a country to help at least get it to a draw to where you can get both of them to come back to the table? Because Putin has now just left the negotiations. He's done with it. So how do we end this war? Trump's looking at the best way possible to do this. He's got Europe to finally step up and share in the burden to even take it on because, as we look at in the Defense Department, this is a European problem. It's their next door. We have China to focus on. We have the entire Pacific that we're trying to tackle because China's our greatest adversary. How can we help Europe address this problem without making it our own? So to the degree that he's doing it, I'd say it's more strategic and one that you can come back to support because it's not to the level that Biden was doing it. Biden was just throwing weapons and equipment in there and there was no accountability. They just went in, they got lost, all this money. It was almost like just funding his own son's business ventures. What you look at now is there's more oversight, there's more control over it, and we're being more strategic on what we're sending them. We're not just sending them carte blanche, and we're not sending to the degree that they were, but we're doing it to a degree that we can have Putin and Zelensky come to the table to start these negotiations to come to a truce to where we can actually end this war there. Because in the grand scheme, this actually helps the United States because then we can continue to shift more of our focus to China, and that's more of the strategic threat. But then you also have to consider Russia's been attacking us more than China for how many years? I know a lot of people when we were dealing with the Iranian issue, Trump's going to bring us into a war. To say we haven't been at war for the last 20 years is to keep your head in the sand and just live in a bliss. Because Russia attacked our pipeline over on the East Coast back in 2022. To say Russia is not at war with the United States, I mean, yeah, you want to decrease the strength of Russia as much as you can because then that helps us focus more on China, helps us focus more on what's the actual greater threat to this country and our prosperity economically because, I mean, China's even buying up a lot of the farmland in the United States. And what they're trying to do is decrease our economic strength because they know that is the only way to decrease the strength of the United States globally. They also want to decrease our influence across the globe. However, they're also dealing with their own issues at home. So I'm a strategic planner in the reserves over in Indo-PACOM. So I deal with the threat of China as much as I deal with advising on special operations, low-intensity conflict. When you look at national security, what Trump has been able to do is actually incredible. Decreasing our amount of resources we're putting towards a lot of these conflicts across the globe. I mean, who would have thought within a single day we could address the entire Middle East conflict with the threat of Iran, which China and Russia were both hoping for, because that was going to draw resources and draw U.S. attention there so Russia could continue to focus on Ukraine. China can continue to focus on trying to take back Taiwan. He literally solved that issue with a single bombing, very strategic, low cost, low impact, and now you're looking at a Nobel Peace Prize for the president. You have peace between, Iran and Israel. You have a lot of these partners within the Middle East now under the table trying to come to an agreement and a peace deal and negotiations with Israel, something that he was doing with the Abraham Accords during his first term. He's continued to build on that. When we have less focus on the Middle East, we can put more focus on China. We can continue to keep an eye on Russia. So I say what he's doing is actually incredible. No one thought, and I was working this Iranian problem for the past 3 months. None of us thought this thing was going to be addressed and solved and complete in a matter of 2 weeks. We thought this thing was going to carry on into the next year. So to see where we're at today, that's remarkable amongst the administration. And then, even after that win, they get the big, beautiful bill. I know Jeremy, you keep saying cuts to Medicaid. When you look at the big, beautiful bill, I haven't seen any cuts to Medicaid. I just see more requirements to get people back to working, something the Biden administration was trying to take away because they wanted more people on the government dime. So you're actually being more respectful to the taxpayer dollars and making people have to work for if they can and earn those benefits, not solely taking them away. The big, beautiful bill did a lot of great things, and it's just re-energizing the American industry, the American economy, getting people back to work. And then when you're working, it's actually helping you save more because you're spending less on your taxes. Great accomplishment to the administration.
No, you're right. And I wanted to ask quickly, if elected, which committees would you choose to serve on in Congress?
Ooh, thank you. I'd love to do the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. We have the Coke refinery in the 2nd District over there. It's the largest refinery in the state. That'd be a great one to be on. It's also one of the top issues that you hear from Minnesotans, especially in the summer when you're talking about infrastructure. We call it summer. Everyone else calls it road construction season. But that's one of the one of the committees I want to be on, as well as the Ag Committee, and then the House Armed Service Committee. So those are the 3 that I'd be looking to join. I know a lot of congressional members wanted me to be on the House Armed Service Committee, so that's the only reason I bring it up. But yeah, national defense. When you look at agriculture, farm security, egg security is national security. But then also at the same time, yes, you need a strong defense to back up and protect our economy, our assets, and our influence across the country, across our border, and across the globe.
When you talk about how people can learn more about your campaign, sort of what's going on as you get going?
Yeah, the best way to learn more about my campaign is definitely reach out to me. You can go to my website. We have all my stances on the issues there. It's Kistner for Congress, KISTN as in November, ER4FOR Congress.com. You can also put my first name, Tyler Kistner for Congress. You can go on there, have the About page. You can see a photo of my beautiful family. First and foremost, I'm a husband and a father. They're the central aspect of why I continue to step up and do what I do because, it's fighting for our families, fighting for our kids. So if you can go on there, there's a link. You can reach out to the campaign. Stacey Holmes, who is my political director, she was for 2020 and 2022, will reach out to you within a day or two to get you connected, to help volunteer, to find out more about me, to set up a phone call or a meeting. You can also donate on there. Unfortunately, the ugly side of politics is, as many politicians will say, you can have 3 things in politics. You can have a good smile, a good message, but you're always going to need the money to get that smile and that message out. So if you can help support financially, that'd be a great blessing. If you can help support as a volunteer, that's an even bigger blessing. Also, the first step in Minnesota elections is caucus and delegates. We're one of the 3 caucus states left in the country, and so getting involved, finding out how to be a delegate. Caucus is February of 2026. So find out more about that and how you can help out in that way. Please reach out to the campaign, and I'd love to connect with you and help you out even more with that.
Great. I thank you for talking about caucus. I think there's really, I believe the caucus system is the way our country should be going back to that, getting the people more involved at the base level. So anyways, again, I appreciate you for plugging the caucus. We definitely appreciate you being here and for talking about talking about your campaign. And we're going to continue our candidate series. And so we'll be posting Political Pitchforks website at politicalpitchforks.com. We'll be having more information about that. So I want to thank people for listening to Political Pitchforks.